Live from the virtual Silverstone circuit in Silverstone, England, welcome sim racing fans to the Wave Italy Apex Racing League Prototype Championships Season 2, live on Apex Racing TV. Happy that you all can join us on this beautiful Friday evening, wherever you are joining us from in the world. I'm your host, Joshua Lee. Alongside with me is Dane Baird with Marco Barbanera down in the virtual production trailer. Dane, last week we saw 2 wins from Alex Salmon and Kieran Smart, both grabbing their second win of the season. But P2 Pro has 3 unique winners in 3 different races. This is going to be an exciting one here as we enter round number 4 of the season.
Yep, absolutely. And as you can see, championship standings up on the screen. 10 drivers in LMP1. As it looks like we might have a little bit of an issue with the championship standings, but it is Alex Salmon, I do believe, who is on top. And there we go. The car numbers are going to be slightly wrong, but yeah, it looks like Alex Salmon is leading by around about 6 points. So it's really close up there at the top in LMP1. In all of the classes, really. After the first few rounds of the season, it's super close at the top.
LMP2 Pro, a similar story as Alexis Weber grabs the early lead there, 95 points in LMP2 Pro division, with Timo Hayden, Owen Carroll, Wes Van Dyke all trying to catch up. P2AM, Kieran Smart grabs the early lead there, but Tim Perry reeling them in. 1 point behind is Tim Perry as we enter into round number 4 from Silverstone. Close championship battles in each of the classes, Dane. That's going to just heat up here as we enter into Silverstone. About half the length on the track as Le Mans was last week. Definitely very unique from Le Mans as well, and definitely a unique circuit than the other ones that we would see here on the schedule.
Absolutely baked into motorsport history. Silverstone has been around since the late 1940s. Used to be, of course, an air base, and yeah, it's had many different layouts. This is the current form that it has since 2010, and actually 2011, since the new pit lane was added. But yeah, it's a very fun circuit, and very wide as well. And so what tends to happen is we get lots of racing. There are many places that you can have side-by-side action through this circuit. We saw that last season. It was the season opener, and we had a fantastic first round of the season last time. So yeah, with what the drivers have been showing us so far this season, yeah, it looks like they're going to put on a good show for us here as well. And it looks like LMP1 might have a couple more drivers in it than we had last time out, because we only had, of course, 3 drivers for most of the race, because 2 of them wrecked out on lap 1. We've got 5 again here today in LMP1, and hopefully they'll survive the first few corners and we can have some good racing up there, because it was mostly procession for the most part in Le Mans.
And that track, of course, famous for endurance racing. Not a lot of endurance racing famous here at Silverstone, more for touring cars, Formula 1, Formula 2, and the like around England. In the motorsports world over in Europe. First lap beginning for Alex Salmon now, as we have 7 minutes left here in qualifying. Everybody getting their first laps underway or starting to finish up their first laps. Here comes Alex Salmon onto the Wellington Straight. DRS zone for Formula 1. Obviously no DRS on these prototypes, but he'll try and use that boost, get a good run down into Brooklands. And there we go. Slightly working points there from the overlay that we can see. Alex Salmon 6 points above Jan Korbs in second place. And then it's a severe drop off to Baldwin, Spetz, and Thompson rounding out your top 5. Labiche, Brown, and Nemeth, obviously no points for them so far here in the season. We have a new taker in LMP1, Sam Blackwood for OCM Racing, going to try and put his name up there in the top 10 of the points. LMP2 Pro, not a lot of drivers here either, but a bit of a closer championship fight, especially within that top 5. Alexis Ebert has the lead. 7 points back is Timo Hayden. Another 1 point back from Hayden is Owen Carroll. Wes Van Dyke, Paulo Munoz round out your top 5 for LMP2 Pro. And only about a handful of 24 points separate that top 5. P2M very close up at the top. 1 point difference between Smart and Perry in first and second place for Track Scotland and Cabot Motorsport. The other Track Scotland driver, Matthew McBride, sits 7 points behind his teammate in Smart. Cabral and Hellegorsch round out your top 5 heading into this round from Silverstone, and it's still a very close battle. Further back from there, Dane, is the entire top 10 really separated by only about 40 points. That's not a lot.
No, it definitely isn't. And yeah, those guys at the front of the field, it's been very mixed. Lots of drivers throughout the season so far have not finished very consistently, I would say. So we still haven't yet to really see who is going to be the definitive faster drivers in that LMP2 AM field, because yeah, we've had very different results with drivers getting caught up in incidents or just not having the best time at some of the circuits that we visited so far. But for the rest of the season, it looks like we're going to have more normal, I want to say normal circuits, circuits that these cars are better designed for. And so yeah, it's going to be an interesting round here at Silverstone, because yeah, these cars should be able to race really well, and it's quite wide, as I said earlier, so hopefully we don't see too many incidents. I think into turns 1 and 2 it might be a little bit hairy, but for the most part we should be able to see some nice clean racing. You can see down the Wellington straight there, huge, it's absolutely enormous down there, and then into one of the major overtaking opportunities on the circuit, through Brooklands, and then Luffield and Woodcock.
Trying to maximize the track limits, going all the way down to the guardrail there, down the former front straightaway here at Silverstone. Now, of course, switched over to the back straightaway as he heads through Comps. Now heading into Maggots and Beckett's, the famous sequence of corners here at Silverstone before he heads through Chapel and down the hanger straight, trying to gain as much speed as he can through here. The swinging right to left-hand corner, down the straightaway and into a very difficult braking zone, Dane. Not only is it you almost have to turn while you're braking, but it's also uphill and immediate downhill through exit.
Yeah, absolutely, and off track and slow down penalty, very, very close to the outside there, into Vale and then through Club Corner, which is usually quite tricky, but in these LMP1 machines, absolutely flat out. The grip is insane. Alexander Spetz crosses the line. He will not improve on his lap, not even close. And yeah, he still is up at the front, as is Kieran Smart. So he's just the fastest lap of the session in LMP2 AM, and he's overtaken a couple of the LMP2 Pro drivers there as well. So Smart up into provisional pole for that AM category.
Little over a 1/10 of a second for Kieran Smart to move his way up to the lead in P2 AM during qualifying. About 2.5 minutes left to get those laps in. Marcel Leclerc going to move up 1 spot up into 12th for P2 AM in the Leclerc Motorsport number 323. Taking a look at Hans Blanquart for the rookies. Where is he going to qualify on the speed charts in the 333? Crosses the line, and he's going to move up to 10th in P2 AM, 19th overall, down to 11th and 20th now as another car works his way up there. That was Hans Blanquart up a little bit further in 11th. The 324 now. Sports Sofort Racing.
Marco Barbanera commenting. He's got a very nice livery on that car, and it's sort of a Halloween themed car. It looks like with the colours.
That is a great livery.
It is quite a nice livery. He crosses the line. Is that livery going to give him an extra couple of tenths? No, it's not. Unfortunately, Alexander Spetz crossed the line now as well. 134.026. No, 133.996, and that's the new fastest lap of the session. The first person to reach the 133s.
6.5 tenths just about over Jan Korbs and about an entire second over Alex Salmon, who sits in 3rd place. A great lap for Alexander Spetz and RLR Abruzzi Esports Silver. The 218, Julian Boutte, my apologies, for Devotion Sim Racing. 5th currently, LMP2 Pro. How far is he going to move up the charts? Not going to move up at all right now. 20th overall for Boutte and 5th in LMP2 AM. That is where he is going to stay on the speed charts. Less than a minute to go. Cesar Cabral going to move up one spot up into 6th for LMP2 AM. Will anybody else be able to improve on their lap time? Hans Blancourt coming to the line to finish a lap. Alexis Bebert, same thing, going through the final chicane in the 217. Will he be able to improve on his time from 3rd in LMP2 Pro? No, he's not. He improves on the time. And I believe, yeah, that was a very close time. I think he almost tied Timo Hayden up in front of him. Maybe just, it was just thousands of a seconds separating those two up at the top. Oh, and Hayden just put in a faster lap there at the last minute.
So it wouldn't have mattered anyway. Yeah, really close up there in LMP2. And yeah, here's how the grid's going to line up. Interesting thing to note is that Alex Salmon was the winner of Silverstone round last season, so he has a little bit of experience at the circuit. So yeah, he should be able to do some good running. He now got a teammate as well, Sam Blackwood for OCM Racing. So those two teammates, yeah, we'll see what they can do against the ARL Abruzzi eSports drivers that have been up challenging Salmon throughout the season. Those 5 LMP1 drivers, Spets, then Korb, Salmon, Blackwood, and Andrew Thompson are going to line up in the top 5 for LMP1, and then your 3, Adam Smart, Wes Van Dijk, Timo Hayden, and Alexis Bebert in the top 3 for LMP2 Pro. Owen Carroll is going to start behind Kieran Smart, so Smart doing a good job there in qualifying.
Smart going to start 9th overall, leading the field in LMP2M. Down from there, Julius Braun, Tim Perry, Matthew McBride, Kevin Richards, Cesar Cabral. Round out your top 6 for LMP2M. Rest of the starting grid will scroll across your screen. And for the Wave Italy Apex Racing League Prototype Championship, round 4 of the championship as we enter it here in Silverstone. And obviously a lot of anticipation for this race. Next week, we'll find ourselves at Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps for round number 5, Motegi for round 6, Road America for round 7, Watkins Glen for round 8, and Daytona for round number 9. But this track, very unique among the list of tracks that I just listed out that we'll be at for the remainder of the season. Everybody ready to get going. They'll roll off behind the iRacing.com pace truck, a bit of a ceremonial for the ARL prototypes and many Apex Racing leagues. They usually set the official pace truck on to lead the field to green. On board with Alexander Spets, looking for their first win of the season here in the Prototype Championship. Sorry, their second win of the season. They won back at Hockenheim. You can draw a lot of similarities between Hockenheim and Silverstone. Will Spets be able to get 2 wins on the season and tie Alex Salmon, the current points leader? LMP1s get ready to take the green flag, and there it is. We are racing in Silverstone. Good run down to turn number 1 already, side by side for second place between Salmon and Corms. Salmon gets loose, Corms gets pushed off track. Salmon all the way off track, has to come back through the grass to come back on. He comes back onto the track in 5th place, dead last in LMP1, but the LMP2 field is underway.
And Van Dijk leads, Hayden there side by side for 3rd, just behind though, 2 rows back as well. I think someone's just gone off circuit out on the outside of turn number 1, 2, but they all seem to make it through cleanly for now. Is that going to carry on as they head into this very tight and technical section? The loop now and on towards the Wellington Straight. The LMP2 field has actually been extremely clean, and it looks like there hasn't been any major incidents in the back of the field like we are so used to seeing in where we get grids that are as large as this LMP2 field. But Salmon, an absolutely disastrous start.
On board with Salmon as he now tries to chase down Andrew Thompson for Performance Link Esports up in front through Maggots and Beckett's now back half of the circuit. Tried to find a way around, could not do it. Still behind Thompson as he works his way through onto the hangar straight.
Oh, so for his teammate Blackwood.
Oh no, that's Blackwood. Sam Blackwood in his first start of the season, slow down, coming out of Maggots and Beckett's through Chapel.
Yep.
And grabs a slow down to 5th place now on the leaderboard. That's not going to be good for his first start as we take a look at Kieran Smart, who lost, I believe, or actually he might have gained an overall spot. 4 now LMP2 pros in front of him, and then it's the entire LMP2 AM top 5 before Julien Boutet, who got a very bad start, continuing to fall down the order. He's continuing to fall down the order even further. Might have been an issue for Boutet. He did get a slowdown all the way down to the bottom of the LMP2 leaderboard.
Oh, they're going 3 wide through Stowe, and the 348's just being pushed off the circuit in the background there. Someone dives down into the pit lane in front of a couple other drivers. That was a bit dangerous there from Roy Mass, who actually led for a little while last week at Le Mans. And yeah, Roy Mass is straight down into the pit lane. Not sure why that is. Maybe a slowdown penalty that he didn't serve. This is going to be a little bit interesting here. He's coming through. We're seeing a replay. Oh, he spins around. Oh, that's why we've got damage. And oh yeah, he's been involved in a little bit of an incident there, hasn't he?
So Moss brings it down into the pit lane. We move back up to your leader, Alexander Spetz, trying to get a good gap over Jan Korbs. About 2 seconds right now at the front of your LMP1 leaderboard. It's Salmon, Thompson, and Blackwood, your top 5, and all 5 cars in LMP2-1. All of them down the hangar straight, and 1 LMP2 off Marco Pavona for Codega Squadra Corse around into the grass. That's not going to be good for Marco, the fellow Italian, around into the grass. What happened here? Gets up on the rumble strip, maybe. Goes a little too wide, and he does just spin it right on around, going through Brooklands. Unfortunate for Pavona. He'll fall down the order now. 29th overall, 18th in LMP2M in the 393. Top 4 for LMP2 Pro all together right now. But it's Wes Van Dyke now out in front. 2 Impulse Racing drivers at the front of this field. Wes Van Dyke, Timo Hayden, Alexis Bebert falls down into 3rd. And Owen Carroll in 4th now in your LMP2 Pro leaderboard. As we go on board, Julius Braun trying to get around Kieran Smart for the lead in LMP2M.
Yep, and he's just at the fastest lap of the race as well, so yeah, he's gaining ever so slightly on Smart, who's just in front, and you expect he's really close now into Village and now into the loop as well. Awkward left-hander. If you're driving in these LMP2 cars, you cannot see the apex at all, so a really awkward corner in these cars, and no boost of course in the LMP2s like we have in the LMP1, so we just got to rely on the draft in front. That's not going to be enough to close that gap before they head down into Brooklands. The left-hander, you can take a lot of the curb on the inside and out through Luffield. The long right-hander, you can see the gap behind to Perry starting to increase just a little bit. Now through Woodcott onto the back straight, Silverstone College on the left-hand side. Now through where there are so many grandstands at this circuit, and there are no exceptions here, through Cops Corner, and now grandstands on either side on the entry to Maggots and Beckett's. You can also take a lot of curb through here as well, or get all over the green stuff and the red rubble strips, but if you get too far off the circuit, you'll get a 3.5 second slowdown penalty, which is absolutely dreadful, because it takes a lot longer than 3.5 seconds to clear. That's such are the nature of iRacing slowdown penalties.
Braun trying to chase down Kieran Smart as they head out of Stowe, down into the final chicane on the circuit, back to the Hamilton straight to start a new lap. Battle between Sam Blackwood, Andrew Thompson. They go sparring through the corner. On board with Thompson, looking back on Blackwood as they head to Cops Corner now. The high speed right-hander. He went for a dive on the inside, decided against it before they got to the corner. Blackwood gonna stay in 5th as they head through Maggots.
Absolutely, and yeah, Thompson holding out up just a little bit. Blackwood probably around about on pace with Salmon. Thompson not quite there just yet. This is only a second week driving these LMP1 cars. And Josh, do you want to know something interesting about Andrew Thompson?
I do.
He has no legs. He drives using hand controls. I don't know how you drive with hand controls. He uses the Fanatec podium shifter sort of thing behind his wheel, and he uses like the clutch as his accelerator and brake with his pinkies.
Kevin Richard went around in the door. Racing 343 and a huge hit behind him. The 342 of Aaron Smith making a huge collision on the track. Unfortunate for both of those drivers. They were further down the order in LMP2M. Now, unfortunately, going to be having a swift trip into the pit lane. And absolutely nowhere for Aaron Smart to go. Couldn't see because of the smoke, and right into the back end of the other car he goes. Back up to a battle for LMP2M. Thomas Sorensen versus the Indy Autosport driver of Kevin Kittleman as they go battling into the corner. Final chicane on the circuit they're currently heading through. You can see by our track map on the right-hand side, the LMP1s are nearing the back half of the LMP2 field. Only about a corner separate those two. To the inside, here comes Kevin Kittleman in the 311, looking for the spot through the first corner. They get a little bit tight. Here comes another car into the fight. Jason Marichal for Devotion Sim Racing trying to find a way around as they head their way through Village.
Oh, Sorensen all the way off wide. He's going to rejoin behind Kittleman, and now Marichal's going to try and get a good run. He actually has got a pretty good run now, and you can see right on the bumper of Sorensen. He's going to go to the inside now. We're going to see them go side by side into Brooklands. Kittleman's going to escape from them and try and build up a little bit of a gap. Sorensen deep, very deep. He's touched the grass on the outside. How he's held on to that, I don't know. But now Marichal's teammate Helleguak is now in the 357 right behind. So yeah, this looks like Sorensen's just going further and further backwards, and he's got Arias Yamantis just behind as well. It's not looking good for him at the moment.
Jean-Francois Elogorche working his way through the top 10. Currently sits in 10th for LMP2M. Has his eyes set on Thomas Sorensen up in front, but Sorensen has his eyes on Marichal. Marichal has his eyes on Kittleman. 4 cars here in LMP2M, all trying to chase each other down as the first couple of minutes of the race and first couple of laps of the race start to wind their way down. 9 minutes now down in the race, still a long way to go before we reach the checkered flag at 1 hour. Alexander Spetz continuing to extend that gap over Jan Korbs. Last time by 136.22 for Alexander Spetz, a 136.55 for Jan Korbs. So continuing to work his way through the field is Alexander Spetz, about to catch the back half of the LMP2 field. As there's Jan Korbs trying to catch up in ARL or Bruzy eSport Silver. He's pulling away from Alex Salmon as well behind him. So everybody in LMP1 putting a good amount of distance between each other. Kieran Smart and Julius Braun, not exactly the same story. Both of them kind of trading on and off, Dane, as they work through the 6th lap of the race.
Yep, absolutely, and you might have just seen on the right-hand side of the screen the weather information pop up onto the screen. I saw it as 78 degrees Fahrenheit. Josh, I don't work with freedom units. Can you translate that?
Translate it into Celsius for you?
Yes, the correct unit of temperature.
Ah, the correct unit, I see, I see. 78 Fahrenheit to Celsius would be 25.55
98
Celsius.
98.
98. My apologies, Dane. 36.6667 degrees Celsius.
So, not too hot. Well, I guess it's hot for Silverstone. It's in the UK. That's about as hot as it gets here. Even if it is the track temperature. But look at the gap between them. 0.2 per second. Smarton and Braun absolutely going at each other, and still somehow gaining on Tim Perry. 2.4 seconds is the gap. They've actually lost 0.3 on this lap so far, but and they gain another couple of tenths as I say that. So yeah, going back and forth a little bit between themselves and the drivers behind. But you can see that Braun definitely keeping up with Smart, keeping him on his toes, Probably neither of these two going properly at 100%, but it'll be interesting to see after the pit stops and everything if they're still close together like this, because if they are, we could have a heck of a battle on our hands in the final few minutes of the race, because I know some drivers like to leave it right until the very end to start making moves.
Top 3 at LMP2 Pro, separated by about 2 seconds. It's Van Dijk, Hayden, and Weber at the top 3. 2 of those drivers are Impulse Racing drivers, Van Dijk and Timo Hayden, as they work their way in the top 2. And on to the old front straightaway down into Cop's corner. Bit loose coming out of that corner for the 284 West. Van Dijk got a little bit too close to that inside wall. Car seems to be a little bit stable as he heads through Cop's corner down into Maggots. We'll see if Van Dijk might be having some issues with that car. It looked to be just a slight issue of him getting too low down in that corner. Almost hits the guardrail. Car seems to be stable and under him as he leads the way, trying to put a gap over his Impulse Racing teammate for the lead in LMP2M. Aaron Joe Montas, we didn't see him last week in LMP2 Pro, but he sits in 5th currently. As right around him goes one of the LMP1 cars. I believe that was Alex Salmon working his way right on by Joe Montas. As he sits currently 19th overall, 5th in LMP2 Pro. Trying to work his way through a bunch of LMP2AM drivers who all sit in front of him. The entire top 10 of LMP2AM in between Joe Montas and Carroll, who's the last portion of the LMP2 Pro field. That's ahead of LMP2M. Bit of an issue for Joe Montas there, maybe. Doesn't look like anything too major. We go back live to Joe Montas trying to get to the back wing of the car in front of him of Jean-Francois Elgorsch. Jason Marichal also trying to work his way up through the field for Devotion Sim Racing, trying to get to Kevin Kittleman, but Thomas Sorensen trying to get that spot back as Marichal passed him a couple of laps ago.
Yep, absolutely. Ooh, a little bit of a touch to the grass for Kittleman there on the outside of the loop. Very easy to do there. The curb on the outside is quite thin, and you just really want to push out as wide as possible to get that perfect run onto the Wellington straight, but it's so easy to just snag dirt on the outside. Oh, we've got a very fast car off, I think that's one of the OCM cars, one of the LMP1s, just making their way through. Sorensen running deep again, having a bit of trouble through turn 3.
Everybody seems to be having a good bit of trouble through the 3rd turn on the racetrack. Is one of the toughest ones to get the power down, Dane, because it's so slow. You need to get that power down quick, and these tires can spin pretty easily, especially in those LMP2s. Yep,
absolute traction control very slow, so you try and stay off it as much as possible. You have a very lenient traction control system. It lets you get away with quite a lot before kicking in, and yeah, that's how you get fast, but unfortunately it means you can light up those rear tires fairly easily, and that can really hurt you in corners such as the loop at turn 4, but also out of the club corner as well. Club corner off camber, there's like a crest on the apex. It causes quite a few problems in the McLaren F1 car, the MP430. You can just about hold it flat, but if you have too much steering input, you head over that crest on the apex and they'll swap ends very, very quickly. Similar sort of story here in the LMP2, although it's a little bit slower than the F1 car, of course, so it's not as much of a problem. But yeah, definitely at low speeds this car is a little bit twitchy under throttle.
As for the lead happening now in LMP2M, Braun has the lead now. Kieran Smart, for Track Scotland, moves to 2nd place. Smart trying to go do the only person this season to go back to back in terms of wins in their class. But Smart needs to get back on by Julius Braun as he is running away now. They head through Maggots and Beckett's and back to the hangar straight, and Braun putting a little bit of a gap now in between himself and Kieran Smart. Smart starting to fall down to about 4.5 tenths as they head back into Stowe.
I think that might just be a little bit of dirty air through Max and Beckett's, one of the worst parts of the circuit to be following someone through. And I reckon we'll see Smart close up that gap ever so slightly through the first sector or so. And when we've got a couple of long straighter sections before Magnus and Beckett's. Magnus and Beckett's so terrible to follow someone through there with all of the downforce that carries the car through those corners. Yeah, it's pretty awful to have all of that air in front of your car taken away, because yeah, goodbye downforce and goodbye speed through that section of corners. We've got a little bit of a battle going on. I think this is Billingsley even, with Leclerc just behind as they head through Stowe, and I think Leclerc had to get out of the throttle there for a second. Leclerc just dives into the pits. I'm not sure if the pit window shouldn't be open.
Oh, he's stopping. He's stopping at the entry of the pit lane and then going in?
I think he might have got to slow down. I don't know why else you would pit, because if you have a slowdown and pit, you get a massive penalty. So I think he might have had a slowdown penalty from Magnus and Beckett, and then pitted, but knew he had to stop before the pit line service slowdown. That's the only reason I can think of. There is no other reason to stop just before the pit entry line. So I would love to know what's happened there.
Taking a look, Cesar Cabral for Charity Racing Team, 6th place in LMP2 AM, working his way now through Beckett's into Chapel, down the Hangar Straight, battle for what is 19th overall. Now these two drivers are in two separate classes. Jean-Francois Elagorche in LMP2 AM, Joe Montas behind him, LMP2 Pro, but Joe Montas not able to get around and start running up his way through the LMP2 AM class to work his way to the LMP2 Pro fellow drivers that he is racing for position on the racetrack. But he's still racing these drivers up here in LMP2 AM for points, because the points are based off of LMP1 and LMP2 class. They don't separate Pro and AM for giving out the points. They separate them for the point standings, but they don't separate them for giving out points. So also trying to gain more points is Aerojust Joe Montas. Back to the battle for the lead in LMP1. The battle for second place. Salmon and Corbs swapping back and forth relatively often on that lap time comparison. Salmon faster, about 3 laps out of the last 5, and Jan Corbs, the laps he was faster by about 6 to 2/10, and that 1.7 second difference between Salmon and Corbs. Either Salmon had a really great lap or Corbs made a mistake.
Yeah, I'm not sure what would cause a 1.7 second gap. Definitely not just pace alone. Something happened to Corbs on that lap. There is no way. Maybe got held up in traffic in an awkward spot. Because there's no ways that Salmon's 1.7 seconds quicker on a single lap without something happening to Corbs. You can see it's actually like a second off his other times. That's lap 9. So you can tell something happened on that lap, and he's just increased the pace by around about 2 seconds. Around about a second a lap even. As someone, and that is someone is Nathan Haley, has just had a bit of an issue through the first couple of corners there. Lots of smoke.
Corbs about 7.8 seconds back from Alexander Spetz, who is having an amazing race right now. Corbs needs a bit of a miracle at this point to try and catch up to Spetz up ahead, but he needs to try and hold off Alex Salmon, as the gap only about 2 seconds, but Salmon not moving that gap that much closer in between these two drivers, as he now is going to have an LMP2 car to navigate his way around as they head through. Back on to the old front straightaway. Sorry, onto the Hangar Straight. Wes Van Dyke still holds the lead, LMP2 Pro, by about 2.6 seconds on the track right now for Impulse Racing, gaining a bit of a gap between himself and his Impulse Racing teammate, Timo Heiden. who sits in second place currently in LMP2 Pro. Bit of a close battle in between Hayden and Alexis Bebert further behind. About 7/10 separate those two as they head their way through Stowe. Lap time comparison, you can definitely see last couple of laps. Hayden pulling away slightly, but Alexis Bebert able to move that needle a little bit closer. Last time by, 146.19. Bebert's fastest lap of their race, 146.54. Last time by for Hayden, 146.13 last time by for Alexis Bebert. He has caught Timo Hayden, now trying to get around. His last time by, he was almost a full second faster than second place Timo Hayden. We might see the Impulse Racing dominance up at the top of LMP2 Pro. Break here as Alexis Bebert in the 217 tries to get around, heading on to the Wellington Straight.
Luckily for Timo, he's just about gapped him through the first couple of corners there, just increased the gap ever so slightly. And yeah, he's not going to be under too much pressure, but LMP1 drivers, namely Andrew Thompson, might throw a little bit of a spanner in the works for that. He's going to go up the inside here, and he's probably going to have to go the long way around. Nope, he hasn't got much of a speed advantage over the LMP2, so he's actually just helped out Timo a lot there. Timo's got a bit of lapped LMP2 traffic. This could be very awkward heading into Maggots and Beckett's, and I think Andrew Thompson's just managed that pretty well. That driver getting out of the way nicely and splitting up Hayden and Bebert as well. So yeah, Timo's going to be pretty happy with that one.
Hayden stays in P2. Jean-Francois Elagorge still ahead of Giomontas. Now has caught up to Thomas Sorensen, who's falling a bit like a lead balloon through the field here, Dane, as Sorensen sits now 9th in LMP2 AM. And he was up battling with Kittleman and Marichal a little bit further up in the top 10. Now down into 9th, about to fall to 10th place if Elagorge can find his way around.
Yep, and Sorensen we saw moving backwards through the field earlier on, and looks like he's gone to the defensive line there. He's clipped that red sausage curve. That's terrible. Those curves are really awful. They can give you quite a bit of damage, especially in these LMP2 cars. The floor on these cars is ridiculously fragile, and look how close Hedegaard is just behind. You've got Sorensen feeling the pressure, definitely not hitting the apexes that he would want to, and locking up a little bit now and going deep once again into turn number 3, and that's compromised the line for the loop as well. He gets a little bit loose as well out of there, and that is the worst possible run through there he could have asked for. Hedegaard now surely going to try and make a move down the inside. There he goes, up and towards Brooklyn, sends it up the inside, and oh, they're so close through there, and now for the right of Luffield. Arias Yamantis looking to try and get involved maybe as well. Hedegaard holding it all the way around the outside, now trying to go for the switchback maybe. Oh, and look how wide and loose Sorensen gets. He's going to try and cut him off, but no, Hedegaard has the inside line now. Surely he'll take it just before or during Kopp's corner, and no, he doesn't. And look at the speed that Arias Yamantis has. He's going to try and pass both of them maybe.
Here comes Yomantas now into the picture. 3 cars all battling in LMP2. 2 of them, the front 2 for LMP2M, back 1, the 271 for LMP2 Pro as they head back onto the hangar straight. Will anybody be able to make an overtake down into Stowe corner? 391 keeps in front of this group. Now further behind him, Julien Boutet joins the fight as well. So all 4 of them head through Stowe. Now here comes Yomantas down to the inside, looking for a spot on Elagorge. But Elagorge gonna quickly close the door through the left-hander, who keep onto the spot as Thomas Sorensen now tries to pull away. In a battle between Kittleman now and Marichal. Kittleman falls in the Indy Autosport car. Marichal now to 7th.
Yep, and Hedegaard feeling the pressure from Yomantis now. It means that Sorensen is able to run wide again. Is that just his line through turn 3? He runs so deep through there, and look at the exit that he gets is awful compared to these drivers behind, because his line is so compromised and so much tighter than it needs to be through turn 4, through the loop. Because of it, now Sorensen having to go all the way around the outside, and both of the Devotion racing cars making a move at the same time. Sorensen just about holding it on the inside, but now look at that Helleguak. He makes that look easy around the outside, just holding on. But oh, Sorensen's actually got the inside line there now, and he's managed to pull ahead, but the two Devotion cars trying to move up through the field, and Alexander Spets, overall leader, well, he's going to catch them at probably the worst possible time for him. He's going to lose quite a lot of time. Look, that's the sight you definitely don't want to see as an LMP1 driver heading into Maggots and Beckett. Oh, he looked like he was going to send it. He'll go around the outside of a couple of them now, praying that they see him in the mirrors, and now look, he's going to try and go through there as well. And as we were watching, it looks like Helleguak has finally got past Sorensen.
Alexander Spet's going to put another LMP2 lap down and almost makes contact. That was very close between Spets and the LMP2. And there goes Spets pulling away. Yomatas into the pit lane.
I've seen a lot of drivers lock up heading into the pit lane. It's very dusty and bumpy, and of course there's no rubber being laid down as there is on the racing line. But heading into turn 30, maybe spinning it through the loop. No, nothing. So yeah, a replay there of some clean driving from Alexi in the 217 LMP2 Pro car, and he caught up to Hayden, and then of course the lapped car separated them, and he's not been able to catch back up. Arias Diamantis leaving the pit box after 18.4 seconds, so maybe that's the time that it's going to take in the pit lane for the rest of the teams, as well as one of the ARL Abruzzi eSports cars making his way through some of the LMP2 AM traffic, and that I think is Corbs. Ooh, not much space given there.
Dan, in your opinion, is that an early scheduled pit stop from Yomatas or an unscheduled?
I would say scheduled, just an early stop. The pit window's around about 35 minutes into the race. Well, the fuel will last around about 35 to 40 minutes, depending on how much fuel you can save throughout the stint. So just after 25 minutes, I would say that's just he's decided he's going to pit early. I think what he's seen is the drivers all in front of him battling, and yeah, I think what he's seen is the drivers in front of him battling as they are now so close into the corner. It's hard to watch as they come through here. And I think he's seen that and thought, I want absolutely no part in this. I'm going to head into the pit lane. It looks like Jones has done the same thing.
Matthew McBride also in. Jones is in. Two more LMP2 takers. When are we going to see the remaining cars make their way into the pit lane? Alex Salmon has caught up to Jan Korbs. OCM Racing trying to break the ROR Abruzzi Esports silver dominance during this race. Korbs sits in second, Salmon in third. They reach LMP2 traffic, more LMP2 traffic I should say, but here comes Salmon right in the slipstream as they head down the Wellington straight into Brooklands on the boost. Nothing Salmon's able to do as they make their way through Brooklands and into Luffield.
And the pit window is we're about halfway through the race, so the pit window is definitely open for these LMP1 cars as well. So you'd expect constant back and forth between Alex Salmon and crew chief Taylor Mills in that OCM racing car. He's right on the back there, but the pit strategy for this team, well, for the duo of Salmon and Taylor Mills, it's been so good in terms of the pit strategy. Throughout both seasons, so many times we see Salmon gaining 3, 4, 5 seconds in the pit stops. So just from traffic management and when to pit and when to fight, just the decision making there has been absolutely brilliant. And yeah, I think we're probably going to see a very similar thing here today. Is Salmon sticking out for another lap? But yeah, you can expect to see Salmon possibly making an overtake on Korbs in the pit lane if he doesn't manage to do it out on track, as they have a Devotion car just in front of him.
On board with Alex Salmon through the first corner on the course. Down into turn 2. You see Salmon throws the car into the corner. It looks like Corbs might be beating him a little bit on exit. Very close between these drivers. As Corbs on the boost, going to try and get a great run down the Wellington Straight. Salmon not able to do anything with that yet. Back to about 4/10 to separate these two. Last time by, 138.43 for Corbs and a 138.17 for Alex Salmon. So he's still faster on the speed charts, just cannot find a way around the 158 as they make their way down into Cop's corner down the old front straightaway.
Yep, now through Cops. Almost flat out in these cars. It's a little bit of a tiniest of braking zones. And now flat out through the first right hand, a little bit of a lift and a brake through the second, then slowing it down for the right hander. Now hard on that boost button, and look how much extra speed Salmon had there. Corbs, I think, just had to give an extra splash of boost there because I think he was going to get caught by Alex. Van Dijk's just set the purple lap as well in LMP2 Pro. And Salmon pits.
Pit lane at Salmon. Salmon gonna make his way to the pit lane, the first of LMP1 to make his way in. How will this pay off for Alex Salmon? You mentioned his crew chief, Dane. Do you think this is a good call? He's going for a bit of an overcut here.
Well, I think they would have tried to work out where he's going to end up out of the when he comes back out of the pit lane. And yeah, we're gonna have to see how long this pit stop takes. I think he's gonna come out behind some LMP2 traffic potentially, so it's gonna be a little bit touch and go there. Actually, I think they might have just played this to perfection. He's got a pit box right at the front of the pit lane. Has he got a penalty? No, he doesn't. He hasn't got a penalty. 15 seconds was the stop. He did lock up heading into the pit lane. I thought maybe he got a penalty. He's come out in relatively clean air. He's got a couple of LMP2s in front of him now. But it will definitely be interesting to see how much time he can try and gain in this pit strategy because, yeah, you can see Corbs, we're heading through Magnussen Beckers, has some relatively clean air in front of him as well. He's got, like I said earlier with Sam, he's still also got a couple of LMP2s in front, but he could probably pit now and have almost no traffic on his in-lap. And yeah, it's an odd call, I think, from Salmon and crew chief there. 40 seconds is the gap. We'll see if Corbs tries to go into the pit lane now. No, he doesn't. He's going to stay out for another lap and have a little bit of traffic to contend with.
Now, I do need to issue a correction. That is an undercut attempt from Alex to Salmon. I get undercut and overcut confused a little bit, but that is an undercut attempt, pitting before the car that was in front of him, Jan Corbs, and Corbs now trying to respond to that undercut by staying out last lap, maybe trying to use a bit of clean air that he now has in front of him to try and make the gap a little bit more, but Salmon gonna now try and make up as much time as he possibly can on Jan Corbs. You can see the gap comparison between them, about 40 seconds separate the two at the moment. Will the gap grow more or will it stay constant as he comes across the line for the first time since his pit stop?
Yep, and yeah, that's how much time he's lost on that lap. Unsurprisingly, around about 40 seconds. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see for the next lap. If Corbs doesn't pit, we'll be able to see what the actual delta now is between the two of them. But it is going to be interesting. Corbs, I'm not sure if Corbs is going to pit on this time by. He has, once he gets past a couple of LMP2s just in front of him, he has completely clear air for quite a while. So yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. Spets as well, not pitting, so you expect Corbs to follow his teammate and stay out. And looks like Corbs has done that. So yep, there he is, heading through club corner. Spets with the fastest lap of the race, so clearly not backing off at all with a 13-second lead.
So Corbs still not coming into the pit lane. Neither is anybody else in LMP1. And for that matter, really anybody else on the racetrack. We saw Salmon come in. We saw a good bit of LMP2s come in. McBride, Yamantas, Kittleman came on into the pit lane. A handful of others also came in. We haven't seen really anybody come in for the last couple of laps. A bit of early pit stops from a lot of drivers, as we haven't seen really anybody since there. And Hayden goes way off track, off of the Luffield Woodcock corner section. What a gap Braun has made up over Kieran Smart. I just looked over at the timing as Marco switched over to Braun. He has a solid 7-second gap over Kieran Smart now as he works out of Woodcock, and that goes to show great run from Braun here. Hopefully he can keep it up after the pit stop, because he is looking to prevent Kieran Smart from going back-to-back in terms of wins here in the series.
Yeah, absolutely. He's managed to build a pretty monster gap out there, really. And yeah, and Smets into the pits. So, and Corbs as well.
Corbs in. This is going to be the LMP ones making their way in. Van Dyke comes in. There's definitely a lot of drivers starting to see cars come in ahead of them, and they don't want to miss out. Hayden is in. Anybody else going to be takers from LMP2 AM? Owen Carroll comes in from LMP2 Pro. That means the only one staying out in Pro right now is Alexi Beverett at the front of that field. No takers from LMP2 AM just yet. We'll see as they all come across that pit entry.
Salmon's
3 from LMP2 Pro. Blackwood now going to take over the spot in LMP1.
We've got on the track map Corbs in the pit lane and Salmon coming through. Corbs just coming out, so this is going to be pretty close, relatively close. Corbs coming through turn 2 now, and there is Alex Salmon behind. He's actually lost a little bit of time, so that's interesting.
Everybody now making their way into the pit lane. Only a handful of LMP2 AM. They seem to be waiting a little bit longer than their LMP2 cousins over there in LMP2 Pro. No lead changes in LMP2 AM as pretty much the entire top 5 stays out on the racetrack. Alexi Beverett now leads the way in LMP2 Pro. Sam Blackwood grabbing a couple of laps leading LMP1 in his first ever start in this series. Nothing to complain about there. Staying out, trying to grab some lead laps as he is the only LMP1 driver left to come into the pit lane. Will he dive his way in here? Yes, he does. Follows in the 217 of Alexi Beverett, your LMP2 Pro leader. They both make their way into the pit lane, and I think a little bit of a lockup from the 217.
Yeah, and now everybody else in LMP2 who hasn't already pitted now making their way into the pits. Smart locked up a little bit there, a bit risky. Penalties could be on their way to some of the drivers. It's as I said earlier, bumpy and very dusty pit entry. It's very easy to snag one of those brakes and lock up. Blackwood into the pits now as well. Will probably come out comfortably in 4th position. And yeah, let's see. Oh, Smart missed his pit box originally, so that's going to give Perry a slight advantage coming out the pits. Perry was about a second behind as they came into the pits.
And this will conclude the pit cycle.
Oh, Perry's gained
all of your
slightly.
lead lap drivers in all divisions out of the pit lanes. Smart gonna come out slightly ahead of Tim Perry, but they're all chasing down Julius Braun, who now 9 seconds ahead of Kieran Smart after the pit stop.
Dominating out in front, absolutely dominating in the 324. Couple more drivers making their way into the pits now as well, and now making their way out of the pits, and a few drivers sorting themselves out in the pit cycle, and we get to see what the actual net running order of the field is. Nathan Healy's made a couple of mistakes so far in the race, but is running in 15th, 2 stops for the driver of the 3 to 7, and runs a little bit deep into turn 3. And what I mean when I say running into turn 3 makes the exit down the Wellington Straight worse is if you run wide, you run all the way out to the left hand side of the circuit, the right hand side on our screen, you tighten up that left hander, which is already tight enough, and so you have to carry less speed through the corner, as we've got a little bit of a battle going on actually through here. Sorensen, who's one of the biggest culprits of running wide at turn 3, and it looks like Baumeister just behind, and they've also got Jones as well, not Baumeister, sorry, Jones is behind with Pavona also just behind.
Down into the first corner, looked for the move was Craig Jones. Jones has not come into the pit lane if my timing screen is correct. I believe he has, though. So everybody done with pit stops. Jones now right on the back bumper of Thomas Sorensen, working their way through Maggots and Beckett's. Doing a battle at the final chicane of the corner. Hans Blancourt versus Cesar Cabral for P4 in LMP2 Pro. Another car behind them, Jason Marichal in that fight for Devotion Sim Racing. A couple of other LMP1s. That was the 123 of Andrew Thompson for Performance League Esports, trying to work his way through this LMP2 traffic. On board now, Marco Pavona had a bit of a spin earlier on today. Now sits 13th in LMP2M. Trying to chase down that battle that we were just on between Thomas Sorensen and Craig Jones.
Yep, and they've just passed Mass. Actually, they haven't. Mass is behind them, and he's even further behind them now because he's just gone into the pit lane. So, yeah, Mass was starting to catch up slightly, but yeah, down into the pits now. And yeah, these three making their way through into the middle sector now. And this is a battle for the top 5 places in LMP2M. Cabral has got Marical just behind. And is that Perry just in front? Blancourt just in front.
Tim Perry sits in 3rd. Here's the battle between Blancourt and Cesar Cabral. Jason Marichal and throw in Matthew McBride. He's sitting back there as they work their way through Stowe. 4 drivers, all within LMP2M, battling on the racetrack. Roughly about 16 minutes to go here in round 4 of the Wave Italy Apex Racing League Prototype Championship. Glad you all could join us here on Apex Racing TV. A lot of great upcoming events here on Apex Racing TV as well as we continue our way through the month of May. And a lot of great events on the horizon. Of course, the Radical Racing Challenge is coming up later on tonight, round 9 at Okayama. Next Level Racing, Sim Racers Asia iRacing GT3 Series tomorrow, along with both the Apex Racing Academy F3 VRS Super Series and the Formula 3.5 Championship. Round 9 at Atlanta for Formula 3.5. Round 5 at Okayama for the F3 VRS Super Series for Apex Racing Academy. On Sunday, 2 of the most exciting series on this broadcast network. SRF Weekend Warriors, round 9 at Suzuka, and IGP Fun F3 at Okayama for round 9 of their season. Fast forward over into the week. Tuesday, Rick Mattek Classic Sprint Series, Ray Esports Racing League on Wednesday, along with the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup Championship, Apex Racing League Touring Car Championship on Thursdays, and then be right back here in 1 week's time. Round 5 from Spa for the Wave Italy Apex Racing League Prototype Championship. You can also make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel here on youtube.com/ApexRacingTV. as a huge move to the outside for one of the LMP1 drivers. The Abruzzi eSports silver driver of Alexander Spetz almost makes contact with the LMP2 who's working his way by. And a huge battle now in this LMP2 field. But remember, when you hit subscribe here on YouTube, hit that bell, get notified every time we go live, and follow us over on Twitch, twitch.tv/ApexRacingTV. If you're following our live timing, that is the lowest latency. You'll enjoy the broadcast much more when your timing and screen is synced up. Back to this LMP2
Oh
battle.
dear.
4 cars all together. Black court goes off track.
Oh, and around the outside goes Cabral, and Maricar says thank you very much, I'll take that. And it looks like McBride might try the same thing, although he's just been pinched on the inside and he's not going to be able to do just that now. Look at this, Blanco under pressure from Maricar. They're going side by side, big squeeze in towards Brooklands, and now through Luffield, the right-hander. Blanco will have the inside line, but Maricar might be able to hold more speed around the outside, and he has. And look at that, look at the speed he's able to carry from around the outside, and he makes that move stick. Maricar up into 4th, but through Cops and towards Maggis and Beckett. Will Blanco be able to do anything about it? I don't think so, because of the dirty air.
On board with Jason Marichal. Cabral and McBride now in their bit of an own battle there further back. As pulling away now is Marichal. Look at that gap formed up. As everybody gonna scatter, here comes Corbs and Salmon working their way through, who are still close together in the LMP1 battle. To the inside, Cabral stuck on the outside, run a little wide. Inside, Hans Blancourt. That's going to turn to outside as they go through the left-hander. And Salmon is off track. Contact with one of the LMP2s, the Devotion Sim Racing machine. I believe Jason Marichal, yes it is. Contact between an LMP1 and LMP2 AM car on the track. Heartbreak for Alex Salmon as he was trying to work his way past Jan Corbs and battle with him ahead. Alex Salmon very mad over the radio, saying, Jason, you're an idiot. He is not happy about that one.
Well, he's got every right to be not happy about that one. He went around the outside, left more than enough space, and just gets clattered into. We'll have a good view on board of Cabral now. He was busy rubbing doors through Stowe, and look at that, there was a whole car split along the inside of the 376. Cabral actually gets involved in that one as well, outbrakes slightly, and also gets a bit of contact to the left-hand side of that car as well. So, big incident into the club chicane, and unfortunately that means it looks like it's going to be an RLR Abruzzi eSport 1-2 with absolutely no competition around them. Kittleman's just gone straight halfway through that corner, toes to the pit lane. That to me says technical issue. Because that didn't look very good. And Salmon now.
Salmon trying to regain as he sits in 3rd place now in LMP1. He didn't lose too much time. He's still 11 seconds back, of course, from Jan Corbs, but for a spin into the corner, he really has not lost too terribly much on the racetrack. He is still in 3rd, didn't lose a spot to his OCM Racing teammate Sam Blackwood in the 127. So he keeps his position on the racetrack, just loses a lot of time to the RLR Abruzzi eSports silver driver of Jan Corbs. Replay, I believe, of Julien Boutet, or no, Jason Marichal and Devotion Sim Racing. Here's what happened in that incident with Alex Salmon. On board now with the 376. That's a tough one to call there with the onboard, Dane. It looked like Marichal might have come up a little bit, Salmon might have come down a little bit, and they met each other in the middle heading through the corner.
Yeah, this looks like Marichal's gone deep there, under braking, which of course is the last thing Salmon needed. And yeah, Salmon left quite a lot of space, but it does tighten up there a bit, which obviously didn't help either of them with that particular incident. But if I had to give the blame to anyone there, probably Marichal, but I would have to get a better look at it, I think, and try and make a decision like that. But like you say, Salmon hasn't lost any position, he's just lost a lot of time, and he was probably going to start battling for 2nd fairly soon, so he's lost out on that as well. but we do have some more battles, so we're not starving for any battles here. We've got LMP2 drivers getting involved with some LMP1 drivers through Marcus and Beckett's. That's Blackwood in P4.
Blackwood will go right on by the LMP2 traffic. Good day for Blackwood. He is making his first start of the season in LMP1, and somebody else making their first start. And I had to check this on the stats, and I had to check this with our producer, Marco Barbonera, as well. Oh my, McBride gets very loose coming into the corner, and he's going to go right into the pit lane for Track Scotland. He's completely locks it up trying to get into the pit lane.
He'll have a 40-second penalty now. Oh, and yep.
And he stopped it.
He's called it a day.
He's going to tow it right on back. So unfortunate for Track Scotland's Matthew McBride. But as I was saying, making their first start here in this series, Julius Braun, who is leading the race in LMP2 AM for Sport Sofort Racing in the 324. What a debut for Julius Braun, as he is only about 8 minutes away and no mistakes away from grabbing a 13-second win over Kieran Smart, a two-time winner in this series.
Yeah, an absolute dream debut here at Silverstone. He's, like you say, got 7 minutes to go until he might be crossing the line to take the win. Spets complaining about blue flags, and that might be why. He's got LMP1 driver just in front of him of Thompson. Thompson not giving him, just giving him the position. He's saying, you've got to get around me if you want to get past. And yeah, that might be why Spet's complaining about blue flags. But he is leading by about 13 seconds, as is of course Braun. Van Dijk is only leading by 2.3 though.
Van Dijk and Hayden a little bit closer than a lot of the battles right now on the track. Here's Wes Van Dijk in the 284. About 3 seconds separate himself in second place Timo Hayden. Battle going into the final chicane. Inside Julien Boutet, outside Hans Blancourt. Around goes the 218 to work his way up to 13th overall. Continuing to work now, about 6.5 minutes exactly left on the clock as we continue to work round 4 of the Wave Italy Apex Racing League Prototype Championship. Remember, all of our overlays are courtesy of SDK Gaming. You can have the most complete overlay on Twitch and stream with a live virtual HUD, timing towers, relative boxes, mini-map, fuel calculators, and more. For more information, you can visit sdk-gaming.co.uk for all pricing options. Other proud sponsors of Apex Racing TV, Virtual Racing School. You can improve your on-track performance with 50-plus data packs for road and oval racing, setups, track guides, data analysis software, and one-on-one coaching as well. And Apex Racing Academy is integrated with VRS. You can head over to Apex Racing Academy for 29 data packs, setups, track guides, weekly group coaching sessions, and more. ApexRacingAC.com today to check out Apex Racing Academy. We also encourage you here on Apex Racing TV to follow our social medias, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Usernames all Apex Racing TV for updates on when we go live and other updates around Apex Racing League and the world of iRacing. You can head over to any social media, Apex Racing TV for that. 5 minutes now left here at Silverstone, and a battle between Cabral and Marichal about to heat up as they head into Stowe.
Oh, Cabral cutting across there. He's got Elgato just in front of him as well. One thing to quickly add about Apex Racing Academy, right now there is a pretty hefty special offer going on. It's a very limited time offer though. 50% off one-on-one coaching if you use the code #WinWithApex at checkout. There are only 25 uses of that code are available, and I know personally quite a few of those were already gone. So if you do want to get some one-on-one coaching from the World Championship coaches at Apex Racing Academy, then yeah, now is as good a time as any with 50% off with that code #WinWithApex. I know I've definitely booked one, despite having 2 free ones with the gold subscription. I've gone and booked one with the 50% off discount with John Robertson, who finished second in the iRacing World Rallycross Championship last year. So yeah, some really good coaches out there on Apex Racing Academy, and yeah, 50% off. Hashtag win with Apex. So yeah, if you're looking to go and get one-on-one coaching, definitely do it now.
And fellow Apex Racing Team driver Johan Harth won that championship, so he was in the top 2 for Apex Racing Team in the Rallycross Championship. And you can check out the Rallycross setups, one-on-one coaching, apexracingac.com. Cesar Cabral keeping on to 6th place as Marichal falls further back, but now has his eyes set on the other Devotion Sim Racing driver, Jean-Francois Elagorche, as they head through Maggots and Beckett's with 3.5 minutes left in the race. Time quickly running its way out. Thomas Sorensen makes a move on Marco Pavona to grab P10 in LMP2AM. And we'll grab a replay of what exactly happened between these two drivers. And there seems to be the main mistake that had Thomas Sorensen catch up to Pavona and go right on by. Pavona off track, and he'll settle back into P11 in LMP2AM.
Gosh, you were talking about the upcoming races on Apex Racing TV. There are many this weekend, but you said that a couple of them were some of the more exciting series. I think we both know which is the most exciting series on Apex Racing TV.
That would be this one right here, I believe.
No, Rallycross.
Oh, very much so. Yes, exactly.
And this comes a very close second. Oh, I thought there was going to be contact there. Marichal looked like he was diving up the inside of Cabral into the loop. That looked so close. It might have just looked close because the camera was panning away. But he looked so close there into the loop. I thought there was surely going to be contact. And now Cabral up the inside of Helleguak, and he's made the move stick. Already know Helleguak trying to go for the switchback as they head through Blufffield now.
Cabral holds on to P5 right behind 2 Devotion Sim Racing drivers, Francois Elagorche and Marichal, as the charity racing team driver of Cabral tries to run away from these drivers now, heading through Cop's Corner. Both Devotion Sim Racing drivers trying to catch back up, but Cabral is checking out as he heads through Maggots. And time quickly running out in this race. I believe next time by the start-finish line for your leader, Alexander Spets, we will be under the white flag. So, Spets now making his way through Maggots and Beckett's in his LMP1. Through Chapel and down the Hangar Straight. When he comes across the start-finish line, we will see the white flag in the final lap of the race here from Silverstone. Cabral holding on to the spot, but the 356 of Elagorche right on the back bumper for Devotion Sim Racing. Down the straightaway, will he be able to make anything happen heading into turn 1?
Might see a dive into turn 3. White flag for the leader, Alexander Spets, who is likely to possibly pass these 2 or these 3 drivers. That was so close to turn 3. But Spets just behind these guys, maybe 5-10 seconds behind. You can actually almost see him in the background. Oh, someone's got off in the background. Helleguak almost into the wall.
A little bit too much as they made their way onto the Wellington Straight. Here comes your LMP1 and overall leader, Alexander Spets. Let's see what happens to Elagorche. Heading through turn 3, does it seem like the same thing we've been seeing, Dan? A little bit too much power, a little bit too much on the grass, and around he goes.
And off the cameras he goes. Yeah, couldn't see him there. And well, Cabral could have been under a lot of pressure down the Wellington Straight there, but fortunately for him, he won't be anymore. But he might still have to go an extra lap because there is Spets in the background of the shot. Spets is on the white flag, the final lap of the race. So these guys aren't yet. If Spets passes them, they will then be on the last lap. But as it stands right now, they're not. And I'm not sure if Spets is going to be able to make up that time before they reach the finish line. They might end up having to go again. But Spets just has 3 corners to go, and he's about to win this race.
Alexander Spets won a couple of weeks ago at Hockenheim, now trying to make it 2 wins on the season, tie Alex Salmon, and that is exactly what he will do. Alexander Spets, your LMP1 winner in Silverstone. contact! Two LMP2s around. Yomantas into the wall as well, ready to start finish line. He collects, choose Baumeister. They both made it across the line. Hellegorch grabs the spot. Baumeister gonna finish in 8th.
What on earth happened there? I think it was Baumeister. He has absolutely no rear end of the car. The rear of the car is just gone. And here comes Van Dijk around the final corner.
He'll take the win in LMP2 Pro. And oh, by the way, that now makes it 4 unique winners for LMP2 Pro in a row. And first time winner in his first race, Julius Braun gets the win for LMP2 AM. Final car is going to come across the line. The battle between Cabral and Marichal going to reach a crescendo as they come across the line. Cabral sits in 5th, Marichal in 6th. Charity Racing Team versus Devotion Sim Racing as they head down the hangar straight.
Yeah,
what do they do when they head into Stowe?
Just about might have this, but this is interesting because if the drivers fueled correctly, they might not have the fuel to make it to the end. So these two are very lucky here. They were the last drivers on the circuit, and it looks like they are going to be able to finish. Cabral out of the final corner now. Look how close. Maricala's behind, but finishing 5th in LMP2 AM. Just about. Oh, it's Cabral. He almost slams into the side of Maricala across the line as well. This is, I think, we're going to see the replay of what happened at the end now.
Oh, they made contact heading into the chicane. What happened when they were coming out? Yomantas. Oh, got on the curb and hard contact.
Yeah, and then bang into the wall. That's where the rear end of his car went for Baumeister. The engine gone. Luckily, the line is where Thompson is in the background now. The finish line is earlier on, but that was huge contact. Yomantas trying to give it too much space and trying not to slam into the side of him. Hits this red curb, bang!
Over into the gravel, and yeah, luckily this was after the start-finish line, so it was no positions lost for either of them. They came across the line all well and good. Full finishing results now for the Wave Italy Apex Racing League Prototype Championship. Round 4 from Silverstone. Alexander Spets grabs the win, his 2nd win of the season in LMP1. Rounding out your top 5 in LMP1, Giant Corbs, Alex Salmon, Sam Blackwood, and Andrew Thompson. Wes Van Dijk grabs his first win of the season in LMP2 Pro, and the 4th unique winner of LMP2 Pro this season. Timo Heinen, Alexi Bebert, Owen Carroll, Julien Boutet rounded out your top 5 there, and first race, first win for Julius Braun for Sport Sofort Racing. A great race for him in LMP2 AM. He beats last week's LMP2 AM winner Kieran Smart, Tim Perry, Hans Blancourt, and Cesar Cabral. Rounds out your top 5 for LMP2 AM. LMP1 winner, I believe, was going to join us. Now left the interview waiting area. We'll see if we'll get him back. Full results on your screen all the way down to last place in 30th of Kevin Richard. And he's rejoining us back in the interview waiting area. We'll get him up here now. Your LMP1 winner, Alexander Spets. Alexander, welcome to the Apex Racing TV commentary booth. Great race today. 2nd win of the season here at Silverstone.
Yeah, it was a great race. Once again, we managed to find a setup that suited me very well. And managed the traffic well, so feeling was very good through the whole race.
And throughout that race, you kind of checked out there at the beginning. You said found a good setup. I think that's an understatement. I think you found a great setup there on the track because you qualified on the pole and checked out from the field. How was it looking back in your mirror, seeing you had an almost 20-second gap in between you and Jan Korbs in 2nd place?
Yeah, I was just thinking of trying to stay on the track and being safe. It didn't go so well the last round, and Nürburgring I spun out, so when I get this cap, I just try to stay safe and not spin.
And next week we head over to Spa. Do you think you can find another good setup, another great race there, and walk away with the first 2 in a row win of the season?
Yeah, hoping for the best for Spa too. Never driven an LMP1 at that track. Still not, or like I'm still pretty new to LMP1. It's my second season, started last season. So I think it's gonna be interesting at Spa. I think it's a fun track. And it's probably gonna be a lot of racing because of the slipstream, like Le Mans.
Well, thank you so much for joining us in the Apex Racing TV commentary booth. Anybody else you would like to thank?
Yeah, I would like to thank my team ARL and my sponsors and my family for making it possible for me to race.
Thank you so much for joining us up here in the booth. Your LMP1 winner, Alexander Spets for RLR Abruzzi Esports Silver. Now standing by with Dane Baird, your LMP2 Pro winner, Impulse Racing's Wes Van Dyke.
Hello guys, good evening.
Hello, and yeah, congratulations on on the win. Then you didn't have it all too easy. You had your teammate just behind you for quite a lot of the race, but yeah, talk us through it. You had some LMP1 traffic to contend with at times, and can't have been too easy out there for you.
No, it was never easy on track. Always the pressure from behind. All began at the quali. Didn't expect to be on pole, and from there had 5 or 6 lap good pressure from Timo behind me. And after that, there was lucky LMP1 traffic for me. That's why Timo fell back on the draft. And after that, I just gave it my all, and it was enough for the first time here. So I'm just really happy, really happy.
Absolutely, I believe it's your first win of the season. So yeah, it's a big win here in round 4. Spa-Francorchamps next. What do you feel about that circuit? Obviously, big on drafting, so you might not be able to gain a couple of seconds over the opponents as easily. It should be a good racing circuit there.
Yeah, it's definitely a really good circuit. I know Timo is really good there, and it's one of my favorite tracks, and also the ones that I'm pretty good at. So I'm hoping for a good fight next week, and really looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Well, I just noticed something from a lot of the drivers losing the rear end out of turn 4, the loop. The slow left-hander. A tricky corner in these cars because you can't see the apex because of the A-frame that holds up the ceiling. It's difficult enough to just get around there, but you're having to try and manage the tires a bit because I saw a lot of drivers heating up the rears and spinning it around there.
Yeah, it's the last sector. You have the coming on to the start-finish straight. The rear tires will overheat quite a bit there if you just slip the tires. So for me, it was a task to don't slip the tires, short shift a bit, so I don't get any spinning tires. And if you do that, then out of T4 you will get a better exit. So that was the key for me to don't have to overheat the tires there. And it's a tricky corner because you're really low into first gear, and the revs will shoot up. And if you have that, then it's just he will go around 180 degrees. So that was my tactic there, and it worked out pretty good.
Yeah, it did. Some other drivers may be listening to this thinking, oh, I should have done that. Planning 5 corners in advance to avoid wheel spin there. Well, Wes, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations on the first win of the season. We will see you at Spa for the next round. But before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Well, just we'll give a shout out to my team, Impulse Racing, for giving me the opportunity to race with them. So I'm really happy. And I hope to see you guys next week again in this interview box.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, we'll see you then. Thanks so much.
Alright guys, bye.
Well, it was great to hear from Josh, and I believe you're standing by with the next driver to join us in the interview room.
And that is your LMP2 AM winner, Julius Braun. Not only is this your first win of the season, Julius, but in your first start as well. How does it feel to get really hitting the ground running in this series, in this season?
Oh man, it's really nice. I knew that my pace is really good around here, but wow, I didn't expect that, to be honest.
and you beat out last week's winner and two-time winner this season, Kieran Smart, and you beat him on the track perfectly. It was a great battle between you and Track Scotland's Kieran Smart in the 339, and you were able to get around him and just completely pull away. I mean, me and Dane were shocked. We looked down at our timing tower. You were 7 seconds ahead of Kieran Smart right after that battle. How did it feel to really pull away and show the drivers that have been in this series for the last 3 weeks that, you know, you're coming in your first start, but you came to play and make a run for the championship?
Yeah, it's super satisfying. Obviously, I don't know. I really struggled through qualifying, but as soon as we started the race, I really was able to follow him, and I knew that if I can stay behind him or close to him, sooner or later I will have the chance to get by. And yeah, I struggled the first 2 or 3 laps after I got into the lead, but then I got into my rhythm, and yeah, super nice, really nice.
Yeah, next week we head to Spa. Obviously a bit unique versus Silverstone, but do you think you can try and run for 2 in a row there at Spa-Francorchamps?
Who knows? It was my first race, so you don't know, but I had some good races in the past at Spa, and I know I can be quick there, so yeah, I'm excited.
Thank you for joining us up here in the commentary booth. Julius, anybody else you would like to thank?
Yeah, obviously all the guys from SSR Racing, just a bunch of cool guys, and you guys for setting this all up, and yeah.
Thank you very much, Julius Braun, LMP2 AM winner. That is going to do it for our post-show here on Apex Racing TV. Glad we got to talk with all 3 winners of your division today. Julius Braun, Wes Van Dyke, and Alexander Spetz. Could not put on this broadcast or this series without our new title sponsor for this season, Wave Italy. Wave Italy's mission is to offer the best experience in driving simulation to an even broader audience, with the aim of conveying the thrill of a real race to passionate and professionals of esport and sim racing. We offer extremely performing and realistic devices, also suitable for corporate or private events. An unforgettable, immersive driving experience. Wave Italy are providing the overall winner of LMP1 the choice of their high-end Wave Impetus Imola or Wave Impetus Monza sim pedals in a color of their choice. Overall winner of LMP2 gets half a day of professional coaching at the Wave Italy Professional Training Center in Verona. To get 5% off any product at waveitaly.com, use the code APEXRACING5 at checkout. Thank you so much for joining us for round 4 from Silverstone of the Wave Italy Apex Racing League Prototype Championship. For Marco Barbanera, Dane Baird, I am Joshua Lee. We hope to see you in 1 week's time when we head to Spa-Francorchamps for round 5.